Wherefore Series 2, Episode 15. As she saunters down Horns Road, two alarming things occur to Sabrina. Firstly, that there is a man following her, and secondly, that if he really is following her, he can see her, and her magic isn't working. She stops and turns. He stops too, acknowledging her with a small nod. He has a hat pulled down with the brim over his face, and his clothes are designed to blend in. "Sorry," he says. "Didn't mean to startle you." He sounds friendly, but when you are a 16-year-old girl outside alone at night, that's not especially persuasive. Sabrina wishes she knew more protective magic, or even something she could use to go on the offensive. She tries to think of ways she could deploy what she does know in self-defense, but it is all a bit tenuous. She will have to persuade Amagin to teach her things she can use in this sort of scenario. The man in the street says, "I don't blame you for feeling nervous. You don't know me. But I think I know something about you." "That isn't reassuring," she says, wondering if she should just make a run for it. She could go back to Amagin's house, but the hour is late and she really wants to go home. "I recognise Amagin's magical style in what you're doing, and you've just come out of his old house." Sabrina says nothing in response to this. "My guess is that you are either Tim's sister or his girlfriend." "Girlfriend," says Sabrina. "How do you know Tim?" "The same way I know Winklepicker, who I am confident you have met." "Oh?" says Sabrina, deciding this is the right moment to play dumb. "I'm one of the 7, he says. Sabrina gives him her well-honed bimbo incomprehension face. He chuckles. "You are good at this. But I've seen you doing magic, and I think you know exactly what I'm talking about." "Why are you bugging me?" she asks. "Because you seem to have learned magic from my old friend Amagin, and he's been gone a while, and you seem fairly new to this. I'm curious as to how that works," he says. Sabrina thinks about this. She may need to find out how Amagin feels about this wizard. The trouble is, if this really is an old friend of Amagin's, time behind the mirror will be short, and she might not get to learn much more. Amagin is using her as much as she is using him, only for now she has the upper hand. This is going to be complicated. "I'm not stalking you," the man says. "I walk a lot. It was just chance that I came this way and saw you leaving the house. I'll turn and go back the way I came so you can feel safer about going home. But I would like a proper chat with you sometime." "All right," says Sabrina, "but in the daylight, somewhere safe and public." "There's always a queue for Waitrose on a Saturday morning. Does that work for you?" "Perfect," she says, and so they agree a time. It is indeed a long and slow-moving queue. Meeting up is odd because Sabrina doesn't really recognise the man she is looking for, but she knows him at once. She suspects he has some subtle magic going on that encourages people not to pay him any attention. At this point she has said nothing to Amagin, Tim, or Winklepicker about her curious encounter. It is hard to tell where to align herself, and she is aware that she is probably taking sides. The wizards all seem to be a bit paranoid and power-hungry, based on the 3 she is already dealing with. What does this one want? "How are you doing?" he asks. "I'm good," says Sabrina. "Excellent. Well, given how slow this queue is moving, we should have some time for a chat. Do you shop at Waitrose?" "My mum does, sometimes." "Ah, yes, of course. Still in school, then?" "GCSE year," she says. "And then what? On to college?" "Well, it depends on my grades, I guess." "You don't have anything you particularly want to study?" "What, at school?" "No." And on they go. He doesn't ask her anything about Amagin, or Tim, or Winklepicker. He doesn't ask her anything about magic until they are about 3 people from the supermarket door. "Are you enjoying studying with Amagin?" "Yes and no," she says, and then realises that he has caught her out and got her to admit that she does know Amagin. Sabrina is annoyed and impressed. She doesn't get wrong-footed like this very often. He doesn't have a great reputation as a teacher, the wizard says. A horrible habit of teaching pretty girls and then getting bored with them. Frequent suggestions of inappropriate behaviour, which he has always denied. I thought you were his friend, she says. People use the word in so many ways, don't they? He replies. He is ahead of her in the queue and goes into the store. When her turn comes, Sabrina grabs a basket and follows after him. They have a fragmented conversation moving around the aisles. She asks outright what it is that he wants. Doesn't really give her an answer, but turns it around and asks what she wants. Sabrina thinks about this, and before she gets to the checkout with her selection of fruit and snacks, she walks close by him and says, "I want to learn." She waits for a quarter of an hour in the car park, but either he doesn't come out of the building, or he uses magic and passes by unnoticed. She is more amused by this than anything else. What is she getting herself into? She does not know. It would be good to have someone in the magical mix who she could trust. Someone who is definitely on her side. Trust does not come easily to Sabrina. On the other hand, cynicism is lonely, and she knows she is seriously out of her depth. What to do? Her nameless wizard has either given up on her, or is thinking about things, or wants her to have time to mull it all over. She has no way of getting in touch with him to continue the conversation, which is frustrating. Her whole line of thought is interrupted when her phone goes off. "Where are you?" Tim says. "No, hello darling girlfriend, how are you today?" "Huge queue at Waitrose," she says, masking her irritation. In the background there is a very large growl. "Maybe as well if you don't come round," Tim says. There is a sound of breaking wood. "Bit complicated at the house today." "What have you summoned this time?" she asks. "Some sort of cat, and anyway, I didn't summon it. The bloody thing just appeared out of nowhere." "Well, sweetheart, you're the wizard. I'm sure you'll be just fine," she says. "Call me when you're done, yeah, babe?" Tim makes his own growling noise and hangs up. Sabrina shakes her head at the phone. Tim is becoming a bore with a side order of angry, dangerous megafauna. Amagin, trapped as he is behind his mirror, is definitely a creep. Once he gets out, this will be her problem. She chews her lip. It might be worth seeing what this new wizard has to offer. Sabrina walks home slowly. There is a carrier pigeon on her bedroom window. She can tell it is a carrier pigeon because it has a letter. "If you can find me, I'll teach you." She smiles. This could be considerably more entertaining.